you have to be, you know, very stealthy about who you're revealing this to. So I do see a lot of discussions here about family. And I do feel as well, if the family situation has been very rough and rocky for you, I'm sensing that some of you are figuring out like a smart way to talk to somebody in your family members. If you've had like a very contentious relationship with them, you're figuring out a way where you can talk to them about something really important and you know it's going to cause problems. And you're trying to figure out a smart way to do this, okay? You're going to be okay. I see a lot of good things here in this spread overall. And I do feel this card specifically, there's some divine protection coming through for you. So I'm trying to figure out where this is coming through in, like what area it's coming through in. But I keep seeing here, um, let me just go over the spread and then hopefully the information will present itself, okay? Because often, like towards the last minute, if the information is not talked about, it will reveal more. So this is the energy you're bringing to the table. So this is the high priestess. And the high priestess is, once again, you know, keeper of secrets. She lets a lot of things in, but things don't really escape her. It shows up in the reverse position. So I feel like, you know, this is usually what I call like tough love. It's a person who's very caring, who's very nurturing, who's very eager to help other people. But you're learning to hold yourself back. You're learning like loving detachment because I feel like you try to help somebody in the past multiple times. You try to teach them, you know, to do things the right way. And they might have always come to you whenever there's problems. They come to you for advice. They come to you for input. They come to you to vent. Okay. And I feel like the exchange has been very one-sided where whenever there's a problem, they come to you and then, you know, they start to vent and you give them, you know, you give your energy away to this person, right? And then they become full again and then they leave and they don't learn anything from it. So you're giving them insights, but they're not picking anything up. And you, also there has been a lot of times where you help them, you complete them, and then they weren't in the picture to help you. And I feel like this is the month in which a lot of you are pulling back your energy. So you're exercising, you know, tough love. You're exercising loving detachment. And it's a little bit difficult, but I feel like it took multiple rounds before you lose your patience with this person. And then, you know, you start to shut them out. Okay. Um, what I do feel coming through as well is, you're trying to move on. Okay. You're trying to live life with, you know, let your hair down, let loose, have some fun, create a new social circle for yourself. So you're trying to, you know, really enjoy like the simpler things as well as the funner things in life. And this takes a really long time for a Virgo to learn, mainly because I feel like every moment that you're sitting idle or every moment that you're having fun, you start to feel unproductive and you start to feel very guilty. And this is something that you need to, you know, not be so hard on yourself about, okay? People think that Virgos are really critical, but they're their worst critics. And it's really important for you to occasionally let your hair down, live life with, you know, less worries, less anxiety, and give yourself the space to enjoy your life, to have fun and to, you know, really just enjoy the moment. Okay. Don't think about what you're going to do tomorrow. Don't think about, you know, is the other person having fun? You know, I feel like a lot of guilt here and the guilt is unfounded. Okay. So let your hair down. And I feel like there will be a lot of opportunities for you to do that. I also feel as well, there has been a major separation. Okay. You're healing from it. There has been a major separation. You're healing. You're going to be okay. It's left a bitter taste in your mouth. And I feel like there was somebody that was, I'm sensing for some of you, this was a situation where somebody, um, didn't act in a way that was in accordance with what they preach. So you can say somebody who's very hypocritical, somebody who was very controlling. And, I'm feeling like emotionally irrational. And it's really hard for you to deal with people who are emotionally irrational because, you know, you're very cool. You're kind of like the Aquarius of all the earth signs. You're very logical. You're very rational. And you don't act until you cool down and you can assess a situation realistically. And I feel like the way your mind works, and that's why a lot of Virgos get along with Aquarius, the way that a Virgo's mind works, it's very cerebral as well. And so you and Aquarius people tend to have like a very strong respect, mutual respect for one another's work ethics, for one another's intelligence, for one another's just ethical ways in which you deal with people. So you have a lot of respect here for, Aquarius, and they likewise with you. And what I feel is happening here is you and Aquarius people, when you deal with people who are very emotionally off kilter and very emotionally irrational, you try to avoid them. And they make you uncomfortable. And I feel like that's what's happening. You're dealing with somebody like this, okay? It might have been in your past. It might also be a family member. I'm feeling like heavily family member or somebody in your work environment because of this Hierophant card. It basically indicates structure, institution, okay? So I'm feeling like this is a family member. And it took you a while to learn how to, handle their energy. And the way in which you handle their energy, be it a coworker or a family member, was loving detachment. You start to drift away. And then I feel like if it's a family member, it took a really long time. It took a really, really long time for you to get yourself here to the point where what they do doesn't affect you anymore. What they say doesn't affect you and they can't reel you back in. So I feel like that is done and over with. Okay. And if it's a coworker, it's still happening where they're just like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I know I didn't take your advice the last time, but can you please help me one last time? And you're just like, no. So there's that shutting down. There's that whole process about you not reciprocating, not returning the contact, not returning the call, not returning those messages. So I feel like you have pretty much shut somebody out. And I feel like they're trying every trick in the book to try to lure you back in. They're trying every trick in the book to, play nice, listen to you, and all of these things. But you're just like, it's done and over with. It's irrevocable. So, I feel like you're blocking some people out that you try to help. You try to help them. And here's the thing, Virgo. I feel like, okay, so I think that message is coming out here. I feel like there is a very, very strong, okay, so let's say this, okay? If you dealt with somebody who's very emotionally irrational and, they scare you, like their intensity of their energy is scary. And I also feel like the emotional demands they made on you, it felt very draining. And so you block them out. And they're telling you, if it's a family or a coworker, right? Especially if it's a family member, they're telling you that I feel some people that you blocked out, they've changed. They've made some positive strides in their life. They're a lot more emotionally stable now. And so they're telling you, like, don't be too quick to pass judgment. And don't be too quick to just, rule it out, because I feel like you have to also give people a chance. And so because you've dealt with this person so many times, you're tired of it, and they're draining you. I feel that energetically, they're just so intense. And when you're dealing with somebody who's emotionally irrational, their emotional responses are, once they're triggered emotionally, they behave, they lash out, and they do things that are very hurtful, that isolate them from other people. And so I feel like there is a situation here where somebody has changed, okay? And they're trying to tell you, if it's a family member especially, try to give it another go, because it's worthwhile, okay? Because I feel like you at this point you have come up with the skills to not let it affect you energetically and not let it affect you emotionally. So you're in a really good position here to, resume that interaction without being emotionally invested in it. So think of it as a lesson as to how you protect and maintain your energy when dealing with people who are like this, okay? And then it's as much a lesson for the other person where they need to tone down their energy so that they're not riling people up, okay? So I feel like that's what's happening. It's a major life lesson, and a lot of it has to do with you protecting your energy field, blocking people out in a way where you still can, contact them, communicate with them without them invading your personal space, okay? Without them like knocking you off kilter, like emotionally. So think of it as a lesson about how to properly do loving detachment, okay? So that's really important. That's what I'm feeling here, especially with family members. The other message that is coming through here, I feel like a lot of you, you're in a position where you have a lot of free time, like free time for freelance work, free time for leisure activity. Don't feel guilty about it, okay? Free time to travel as well. So get all the traveling done that you want, okay? And I'm also feeling as if I feel like there are a lot of important meetings that are taking place. So I feel like some of you might be called upon, right? And by a supervisor, and they're like, hey, we want your feedback on this, this person, this employee, this work project. We want your feedback on a specific like procedure at work. And I feel like they're telling you to keep it, kind of like hush hush, mainly because they want your skills, they want your expertise, but they don't want you to tell others because other people might get jealous. So, for example, I'm sensing some of you, a supervisor or somebody in your work environment might ask you, there's an employee here that's underperforming. Can you give us an honest assessment of his or her work ethics, of his or her, character? And I feel that you don't want to throw the other person under the bus. So I don't feel you're going to be truthful. I feel that you're going to be candid, but I don't feel that you're going to reveal everything because you know that job security is important for the other person. So you're not throwing them under the bus. And I don't feel there's anything wrong with that because I feel like you're hiding some information just because it would hurt the other person's credibility. It would hurt the other person's, chances at advancing in this company. So they're saying, think about the position that the other person's in, whether or not they work with the public, whether or not they have a very impactful job. And if their job is very impactful and they're not working to their capabilities, it's really important for you to be honest because maybe there's room for change. Okay. So be open to the fact that, honesty is going to be the ideal thing, especially if they are working and they're impacting a lot of other people. They need to be at their best emotionally and just, competency wise so that they can make a difference. If you are holding information regarding their performance based on something that you feel like, oh, they're not really performing to the best of their capabilities, it's kind of a disservice to other people. So I feel like you need to be very honest about that. Okay. I'm just going to leave it there because I feel like there are secret meetings or some type of clandestine like meeting that you have with a supervisor where they're asking for your performance review or your evaluation of a person. They're calling to verify something about the other person and you're trying to help the other person by keeping quiet. So I'm just going to leave it at that because, Virgos, use your best judgment. I feel like I trust your judgment. Okay. I just feel like you're going to be holding some information in. And either way, we have new opportunities. And I also feel as if it's not a busy month overall, which is really rare to see for you guys. And I'm actually glad this is coming through because they're saying, get outdoors and do some new things. Okay. Like camping, fishing, hiking, whatever it is that you're inclined to do for entertainment. I feel that it's going to be really good for you. They mentioned as well, paying a visit to family members. Okay. This is something that I feel will really rejuvenate you. Okay. Coming in with this energy when you visit like family members that you might not have spoken to in a long time or family members that really drain you emotionally. I feel like this is a good energy to bring mainly because you're coming in like this, very sure of yourself and very just lighthearted. You're going to leave like this where you're very lighthearted as well. So I don't see any problems reconciling with family members for this month. Okay. I'm also feeling as well, I don't see busy energy. So they're really saying, try to revisit old haunts. um, figuring out like outdoor opportunities, like outdoor recreational activities that you can do by yourself with other people, going to the beach. You know, the weather is getting warmer in the northern hemisphere. So finding opportunities to do that, okay? I'm also feeling here there is a discussion here with an ex. So I'm feeling for some of you major ex that is was a significant fixture in your life. So I feel like it was a very significant relationship. They're saying here there is a major reunion or like an opportunity to meet with an ex. Emotionally, things have already, you know, drifted apart. Okay, like emotionally they're done, you're done. So just be careful about that. Be careful about that sense of reconnecting for old time's sake, because I feel like it's already done and over with. You can't really backtrack from it, okay? They might also make that last ditch attempt to appeal to you emotionally, but I feel like you're already done and over with. So if you feel that, if your instinct is telling you, oh, they're trying something fishy, they're trying to, you know, get their foot through the door again, don't meet up, okay? So I feel like X is coming through for many of you. What I'm also sensing as well, and this is going to be the last message that I'm going to leave this reading off with. You know, Virgos, you work really hard at things, okay? And for you beat yourself up over things when things don't go perfectly, or when things just, you know, go awry and you have to leave it behind. It's you don't leave things behind like lightly. Things have to be really bad for you to turn your back and walk away. Like they're pretty bad. And so you need to keep that in mind. If a situation was so bad that you had to escape in order to, you know, restore yourself and to restore your peace of mind, just know that at its worst, it was so bad that you had to walk away. There's no need to revisit it, okay? And I feel like that might also be like the ex or even that family situation. And so I'm sensing overall, there's a lot of things that you blame yourself for in the past. You know, did I do this right? Did I handle this situation to the best of my capabilities? Is there something, you know, that I did wrong specifically? And I feel like this is the month in which, you know, you're feeling a lot lighter. You don't blame yourself anymore. There's a lot of conclusions that you have drawn that you didn't do anything wrong. The other person was at fault. And that, you know, the other person might have been emotionally irrational and they didn't know how to handle their emotions. And that's why the relationship went awry. Okay. And so coming to terms with that fact will allow you to stop fighting it, okay? And allow you to live guilt-free, allow you to move on, allow you to just emotionally detach from them and start living for you rather than being, you know, constantly concerned and worried and feeling guilty that you didn't do everything that you possibly could in a situation, okay? So I'm seeing so much alleviation of guilt, so much alleviation of like, I'm seeing a lot of people exhale this month. So I've done, this is probably the fourth sign that I've done. And there's a lot of this exhale energy, this relief, this letting go, this, you know, finality. So I feel like you're going to be in a really good emotional space, letting go of baggage and, you know, moving on in a very light manner.